Welcome to the Scott Horman Podcast. I'm Scott Horman, and after spending decades as a player, coach, and mentor, I've learned that the greatest lessons in baseball have very little to do with batting averages, earned run averages, or championships. They have everything to do with character, leadership, perseverance, faith, and becoming the kind of person other players want to follow. Each week, we'll have an honest conversation about baseball, high school sports in general, coaching, parenting, player development, recruiting, and the moments that shape young athletes long after the final out. Because at the end of the day, trophies collect dust, character lasts forever. Welcome to the Scott Horman Podcast. Welcome to the Scott Horman Podcast. I'm Scott Horman, and I'm here with Eric Jeon, the 10th round pick of the Seattle Mariners this year. I've known Eric since he was, I think, 16 years old. He started playing for me. Actually, I think he might have been 15 at the time. But you started playing for me back there with USA Prime, and our first interaction together was at Lake Point, and we went 0-4. But you played pretty well, and I knew we had a player there. And we're going to talk a little bit today with Eric about his journey since high school through college, and then getting drafted this past year. And I was lucky enough to be in contact with him during the draft process. And boy, I tell you, when I got the text from you, hey, I'm going in this round, this pick, you know, the anticipation was crazy. So how was it for you when that happened?
It was crazy all around. I knew day one wasn't probably going to be a possibility, but day two was. And so, I mean, I was anywhere, from the early day twos to the middle day twos. So honestly, I was just by my phone the whole time. Woke up extra early at like 6:30 or 7:30, just to make sure, anything that pops up, I'm not missing. And yeah, it was a very stressful day, but I'm glad to be part of the Mariners.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, okay, we're going to talk early days. Tell me a little bit about you growing up. You're from Southern California. Talk to me about youth baseball for you, maybe starting at age 12, 13. And when did you know, okay, this could be something for me?
Right. I started playing baseball when I was around like 7 or 8 years old. I played with a bunch of my friends in a local little league called Golden Hill Little League, and I played little league up until I was around 12, 13, and I never really got a taste of what travel ball was like until I was 12 or 13 because my parents are from South Korea. They're not really familiar with the whole travel ball process, so. Yeah, I just played Little League with my boys up until I was 12. Played in the Junior League World Series. Ended up winning the whole thing, which is great. But yeah, I didn't really know I was, maybe that baseball was really going to be a thing until I would say, um, I mean, I always loved baseball, but I think
Yeah.
once I finished, I wrapped up that Little League season. A lot of my friends, parents, and everything, they were telling me, "Hey, you should probably get your kid in some travel ball stuff."
Yeah.
So, yeah, honestly, super thankful and grateful for my buddy Walker Calvo and his family, and also Derek Curiel, because those two guys are the reason why I'm here and why I
Yeah,
started travel ball.
Derek's playing pro ball now too, right? So I mean,
Yeah,
it's funny how like players kind of find each other. So
right.
we talk about the process all the time, and we did you believe at age 13, 14, 15 that you could be a professional baseball player?
Um, Obviously, like I work towards that goal. I've always wanted to become a big leaguer, play on the biggest stage, and I kind of approached how I train, practice everything the way I wanted it to be, so I could align to be a big leaguer. Whether it was recovery, the weight room, just the cage work, live work, or defensive work. I just kind of approached that whole process like a big leaguer in a sense. So, um, yeah, I would say I definitely believe that I could get drafted and become a big leaguer. So I'm not there yet, but I'm
Well, yeah. I
well
mean,
on my way.
you're as close as anybody's like you're close. So you got to be
Right.
happy with that. But here's my next question, because leading into that, okay, you thought about being a big leaguer. You worked your butt off. You did all those things. Talk to me about um like what influences, like who are your influences growing up? Like, who did you watch and who did you try to emulate? Because we all did.
Right. Well, non-baseball players, my parents, just their work ethic, their sacrifices they've made, right? Like I said, they were in South Korea. They left their families to give me and my younger brother the best opportunity that we can get in the States. So, that's something I didn't take for granted, and that's still a huge factor, like a motivation factor for me and my brother, is be able to just repay them too, because they literally did everything they can for us to just like thrive and succeed. And they're, whether it's sacrificing their time with friends or whatever it may be, they just put us in this position to become successful. So yeah, but baseball players, I loved watching Francisco Lindor, Clayton Kershaw, and Adrian Gonzalez. I was a huge
Yeah.
Dodger fan growing up.
Oh,
Um, yeah, Kershaw, obviously, it's he's a huge future Hall of Famer.
yeah. His
Absolutely
competitiveness was
dominates,
unbelievable. Yeah, his
and
competitiveness really stuck out.
right, and that's what I loved was any given day, whenever he started, I was always at the TV watching, just because he's gonna give you at least 6 innings of quality work.
Yeah,
Francisco Lindor, with me being a shortstop,
yeah.
I've always loved watching him play with the passion and energy and some flair with the glove. And then, yeah, Adrian Gonzalez, I loved his swing when I was growing up. And, I'm not a first baseman, but I loved just watching his sweet lefty swing. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You those are three great role models, three great guys to watch, and I can see the competitiveness that you had when I coached you. You had that same competitiveness of Clayton Kershaw and Lindor and those guys. I mean, you hated to lose, like you
But I
hated
hated
to
it.
lose, like and you probably still do, but it's kind of a
Yeah.
different process now that you're in. Let's talk about high school for you, because high school, you had a coach in high school I know was very instrumental in your life. Talk to me a little bit about your coach and what he did for you.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a bunch of coaches, but, I started off my high school career at Fullerton High School. Um, Played there for a year, but once COVID hit, I decided, it's best for me to take the right step in my direction in my baseball path, and that was to transfer to La Mirada, which I ended up graduating from, and I spent 3 years there. Just got exposed to, just like what Southern California baseball is about. We're facing the top dogs day in and day out, every week, and it was great. I got a little taste
What,
of what.
you weren't facing 72, 73?
Oh no, 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 no.
Yeah,
That's a long goner. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, that was awesome. I'm glad I made that change. But yeah, my hitting coach from my freshman year, he's still my hitting coach now. He's been instrumental in terms of just development offensively and the mental game, which we talk
yeah,
about here with the Mariners a lot. The mental game is huge. And it took me a while for me to like grasp it and fully understand it. But especially that last year of high school and going into my college career, I've seen my performance thrive because of my mental game. So I think they've been huge, and obviously I can't forget you.
well,
No, you've been huge. Just like like you said, I met you probably around what 15 years old, but
yeah.
you helped me a lot, in terms of growing emotionally and just competing and just giving it everything I got. And I still remember when you had me over for a couple weeks, summer
Yeah,
of senior year.
yeah, he
Yeah,
came out
we
and played in
just,
the Connie Mack tournaments and
yeah,
hung out, and yeah, it was great. It was a lot of
that
fun.
was
But
great.
here's where I want to take it, because I watched you grow as a young man, and
Hmm.
watching you at 15, 16, 16 and even 17, emotionally it was tough for you. You hated to lose, you hated not to play well. When you didn't play well, I remember getting phone calls, what am I doing wrong, what's going on, and all those things.
Right.
I think you going to college, um, and the perseverance that you had to go through in college over the 3 years really helped you grow. So let's talk about what your first decision out of high school. Your first
Hmm.
decision is, and I remember you and we toured Grand Canyon University. You got an offer there. You had offers, but you ended up going to an Ivy League school, which
Right.
I was surprised but I wasn't in the same token because I know education is so important to your parents and to you. Talk about those 2 years at Columbia and how they helped you grow and get you ready for your next step.
Right. I mean, I love my coaches at Columbia. Obviously, I'm not here without them, and
Yeah,
I'm super blessed that they gave me the opportunity to, commit to their program that junior year fall. But yeah, I mean, I chose Columbia because you can't go wrong with the high academics and the competitive baseball they brought to the table. And at the time, Columbia has had a really good reputation of just being the top of the Ivy. And yeah, I loved that our coaches, Coach Ferretti, was huge on the pre-conference schedule.
yeah,
He would schedule like Florida, Georgia, Oregon, West Virginia, you name it. Those big Power Four schools, he always had in the pre-conference schedule. So I wanted to, get exposed to that as well because um, I thought that was super valuable to my development. And the biggest thing was, playing as a freshman. I wanted to go somewhere where I was gonna get the opportunity to play, experience college baseball, especially Division I college baseball, and just kind of go from there. But my 2 years were great.
yeah. How
Freshman
about the
year,
how about the culture shock when you got there from being a Southern California boy, and
yeah,
ended up at Columbia? How was that? That had to be difficult.
it was for sure. That first semester was very tough. You're away from home, Southern California. You have 65 to 75 degrees of just sunny. Yeah, it's just sunny
Yeah.
weather. But once I got there, it was very sticky in the fall, and once the winter hit, it was very cold, and that was something I wasn't used to. Funny story. I only packed like shorts, no sweats, no joggers or anything, just shorts.
What?
I don't know. I was going on vacation to be honest. I'm going to play baseball. I'm
Yeah,
going to play
yeah.
baseball in
That's
Columbia.
awesome.
So. Yeah, I brought shorts. I quickly realized, I made a mistake, so I went to go, shop with a bunch of my teammates and
Yeah.
grab a pair of sweatpants. But yeah, I think the biggest thing was the weather, and obviously just being acclimated to, practices and facing better competition every day.
Yeah. Yeah, and you thrived at Columbia. You started as a freshman. You played well. You had a little bit of a setback your sophomore year. You got injured,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and I know you were down in the dumps at that point. What talk about going through an injury because
Right.
I'm sure in your future there's going to be injuries. So talk about how you dealt with that and how that helped you grow as a baseball player.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could attest to this. I'm a huge baseball guy. I love baseball more than anything. And so that when I broke my hamate my first game of the season, baseball was taken away from me. And so it was very tough mentally. I was like, why is this happening to me? I just like, was working super hard in the off season, dialing my swing, making sure my defense is all good and everything. But everything happens for a reason, right? And so that's
That's
what
right.
I, really leaned on throughout the rehab process. But it's a blessing in disguise, right? It allowed me to reflect on who I was actually as a person outside of baseball, and I grew um, mentally and physically. I took advantage of the time. I went to the fitness center, the recreational
Yeah.
center, and got my lower body strong while I couldn't do anything upper body. But yeah, I leaned on my faith, leaned on my support group, and yeah, it was definitely tough, but I think it was very necessary because it helped me grow emotionally, and mentally. And I feel like that was a huge obstacle,
Yeah.
like a adversity block, I would say. And
Yeah.
being able to conquer that, I feel like, I'm well suited to handle more adversities down the road.
Yeah, and after 2 years at Columbia, you decide you're gonna test the waters in the transfer portal.
Right.
That had to be nerve wracking. And
Yeah.
like, what is the thought process when you're going through that? I'm gonna put myself in the portal and bet on myself. What is that thought process like?
Right. It was tough. I mean, I needed to convince my parents because, after all, like my parents have been, the biggest supporters. So, but the biggest thing was, I want to play pro baseball. I want to become a big leaguer, like I said. So, in order for that to happen, I thought it was necessary for me to go to a program where, I'm facing the best competition. And if I succeed, then great. I'd be in a great spot to, potentially get drafted and all that type of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
But that's what I really took into consideration. I was willing to kind of leave the Columbia degree behind, and kind of, pursue my dream of baseball because I felt like, I was confident in my work ethic and my support group and my ability. And just the way I approach things, like I said, I take nutrition, recovery, the weight room, and all the baseball stuff super seriously. So I felt
yeah,
like I was well positioned to, transition into a better conference, and that's what I was looking for out of the portal.
yeah. And during that time, how many? I don't want you to get into specifics, but how many schools were talking to you during that
Right.
time, and how did you narrow it down to the last couple ones?
There was a bunch of texts and calls, and emails, ranging from Division 1 all the way down to JUCO, right? And so, obviously, I took every conversation seriously,
Okay,
and just to see what's out there. But I would say a good like 15 to 20 schools reached out,
okay,
and from those, I looked at the fits, right? Where do I see myself playing, potentially at least for a year, potentially for the next 2, 3 years because of my hamate injury I got back.
yeah,
So that was a big thing is, fit and the conference. So
yeah.
I
So
yeah,
ultimately, you pick Stanford. Talk about
right.
your reasons for picking Stanford. I mean, obviously, you said some of them already. A place where you felt like the competition was going to allow you to be looked at in a position to where you could go play pro ball. But what else about Stanford did you like?
Yeah, so when they had me out on a visit, I was with the hitting coach, and he was kind of going over all the development stuff, right? And like how he was going to get me better in the next year. And so um, that's something I really liked. And they really had a plan for me, which is huge. And I've always wanted to go to Stanford when I was younger. That was my dream school. And just like watching Stanford baseball the
Yeah,
past like 10 years, it's been great. And like when they went to the Omaha runs, like that was always cool to follow. So it was a no-brainer for me in that sense. But yeah, like I said, the development plan they had for me, the campus, the facilities, the coaching staff all around, they were very inclusive and like super chill, and like they're very strict, but they're very laid back at the same time. Like I respect that a lot, and they demand the best out of you, and that's somewhere where I wanted to go as well.
that's awesome. All right, so you're at Stanford,
Hmm.
and things didn't go quite as you planned early on, did it?
No, I didn't.
So talk to me about that because, like, I remember you and I having a couple conversations, and you were like, "I'm not sure I'm going to get a chance here,"
Right.
and you really, really had to earn
Hmm.
an opportunity. And I'm thinking back to literally a year ago at this time,
Hmm.
and you weren't sure if Stanford was the place for you because you weren't sure if you were going to get an opportunity. Like you
Right.
loved it there, you loved the school, you loved the baseball program, you loved everything, but you weren't sure what was going to happen. And then early in the season, you did not start. So talk
Mm-mm.
about that and what that did and how you overcame, because I think sports is the ultimate for me in teaching you how to overcome adversity. So talk about
Hmm.
how you overcame that. And then we'll talk a little bit about that Georgia Tech series.
All right. Yeah, like it was tough mentally. Like I said, it was no joke. I made the transition from Columbia to Stanford in hopes of playing professional baseball, right? And when I wasn't getting the opportunity in the beginning of the season, it was very frustrating because, now you're starting to question, did I make the right decision, or, should I have stayed? But, after taking a step back, like I said, the biggest thing is, the biggest support group was God, my friends, and my family. My parents
Yeah.
are the biggest supporters, right?
Yeah.
But I just prayed a lot, and talked to my parents a lot, and just kind of just take it into perspective of like why I really chose to leave Columbia and come to Stanford. And I wasn't getting my opportunities then, but I knew at some point um, that start would arise. So, you know, after games, I would go to the recreational center again, get an extra lift in because, after all, I'm not that tired from the game,
Yeah,
besides cheering and stuff. Like physically, I'm chilling, mentally and like emotionally, I'm in the game. But
yeah,
yeah, like I got the extra lift in. I'll get extra hitting sessions in the cages, just like doing something so that it's benefiting me and putting me in a position so I can succeed once I get that opportunity. And so I could have easily just kind of said screw it, this is where maybe this
yeah.
is what it's supposed to be, right? But
And this is where
yeah,
athletes that are really, really good athletes that have the ability that you have, this is where they falter. And
right,
you could have quit, you could have complained, you could have gone to the coaches, why aren't I playing? Why aren't I playing? But instead, you chose to take that, I don't want to say anger, but frustration and
right,
go, okay, what am I going to do about it? And you did something about it. So
right.
we get to a weekend series against Georgia Tech.
I
And
think
what
I think it was Wake
or was it?
Forest. Wake
No, it
Forest.
was Wake Forest. That's right. It was Wake
Yeah,
Forest. I'm
yeah,
sorry. Same colors. We
yeah,
get
yeah.
into the series against Wake Forest, and you weren't like, were you told you were going to start, or did you find out like literally right before game time that you were starting?
So the first game, I didn't start. The first game, I got a pinch at AB in the ninth, off a lefty throwing like 100, something crazy.
Yeah.
I remember the first pitch I swung at, it was like fastball right by me. I swung when maybe he got the pitch, and I was like, okay, like this is I'm in for a rude awakening. But I battled my ass off, and I think it was like an 8 pitch AB, and then I ended up hitting a homer that AB. So I went back to the hotel thinking maybe I earned a start. I was indeed wrong. The next game, the second game of the series, they gave me another pinch at AB in the ninth, and I roped a single up the middle, almost took the pitcher's head off. But
It's awesome.
after that game, it was a doubleheader that day because of the weather. So we were eating our sandwiches, and then one of my teammates walked up to me. He's like, "Hey, you're in it." It's like, "What do you mean? Like I'm in it?" And he said, "You're in the lineup." So I went to go check, and that's how I figured out I got my first start. But that was
That's
probably the
awesome.
best feeling ever because
Yeah, and
obviously,
yeah,
yeah,
all the work,
playing for my
all the
dream
work
school,
you
yeah, all the work, playing for my dream school. It's finally coming to fruition, and like I think it finally hit that, I was actually getting the start.
Yeah. So what did you end up doing that game?
I started off with a double, hit a homer my second AB, hit a homer my third AB, and then got out the next two ABs. But
So,
that was,
your first five at bats, you had a home run, a single, a home run, a double, and a home run.
yep,
And your
yeah,
first five. Now, here's the thing: that makes it tough for a coach not to keep you in the lineup. That's how
right, for
you earn.
sure.
That's how you earn lineup. That's how you earn time. Like when you get your opportunity, you take advantage of it. And
Hmm.
I remember that night looking at them because I look at the box score of all the former players, and I remember texting you, go, "What the heck happened?" Like, and then it was all over Instagram, it was all over social
Right,
media, and you had arrived. Like you literally had arrived. It was like
right,
Eric Jeon is here, and he's here to stay.
right.
And you had a great series. It was one of the best series. Like I think you hit 700 in the series, or
Yeah,
even maybe closer to 800. And you had four home runs, I think, or three or four home runs, and plenty of RBIs, and played a really good second base. And you just had a great series, and that's what you got to do. And I think that's what I love about your story is because you've had obstacles in your way many times,
hmm,
and you have not let that affect your what your goal is and what you do to reach your goal,
right.
regardless. And I find that guys like you are the guys that make it, and guys that continue to make it, because you're going to have those setbacks in the minor leagues. um and so we get through the season. You have a great season. What'd you end up hitting in the season? Do you remember what you hit last year for Stanford?
Uh, yeah, like
Approximate. It doesn't have to
three.
be perfect.
Yeah, 320, I think,
Yeah.
around with like nine homers. My biggest thing was, the walk to K ratio. I hate striking out, so I took pride in, controlling the zone. So yeah, the walk to K ratio was big for me.
Yeah, and did you have any professional scouts during the season kind of give you an idea? Hey, we're watching you.
Yeah, I think 3 full weeks of me starting. I started off hot, and I started seeing some scouts, film my BP, my
Yeah,
infield, outfield. Sometimes, just like pop in the cage a couple swings, and take some video. And that's when I kind of got a glimpse. I was just like, oh, okay, maybe they're just like, taking some film. I didn't really think much of it, but as the season got closer and closer to the end, I saw more and more cameras on me, and got had a couple calls with area scouts and stuff. And I think that's when it, kind of hit that, this was going to be a possibility because after all, like, I was just trying to crack the starting lineup. I was just trying to get an opportunity to play every single day. I
yeah,
wasn't, obviously, I've wanted to become a big leaguer, get drafted, but that was nowhere near, the forefront of my mind because I had a job
yeah,
to do, earn a
yeah.
job,
At that point, you're worried about the season. You're worried about your team. You're worried about winning
Right.
games. So that takes you to the summer, and the summer before you went to Stanford, you went to the Northwoods League.
Hmm.
And that is no joke. That's a great league, but it is,
No
man, is it
joke.
no joke. It's every day. It is like, I don't want to use the word a grind because you're playing baseball, but
Right.
right, like, but it is a difficult league to play in. It gives you kind of your first glimpse of what a minor league season might look like, right?
Hmm.
On buses, traveling, going and playing. You're on TV every night. All those things. You had a great year. You were up in Green Bay, playing in Green Bay, which had to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
that was awesome.
and you were a fan favorite. I know that because I watched games and everything. But you decided after Stanford to not go play summer ball.
Hmm.
And what went into that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to play summer baseball, especially, an opportunity to play in the Cape. But I had some workouts lined up with teams, and I felt that, the workouts were much more valuable than, going to play summer ball
Now,
because
when you're
I'm in
talking
front
about team,
of.
you're talking about professional workouts, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah,
So I felt that was much more valuable, taking some ground balls, taking some BP, just showing them what I could do. In front of all the scouts, right? All the scouts, the scouting directors, the assistant GMs. I felt that was much more meaningful to my draft process than me just go to the Cape and they might have a couple scouts, out there to
yeah,
just watch,
yeah.
right? So I think that was the biggest decision. You know me, I was itching to play,
Yeah, oh
but I
yeah,
had to
I
do
can't
what.
even imagine. I can't imagine you not playing. I don't even know how you did
Yeah.
it.
But yeah, I had to do what's best for my situation and the draft couple months later. So, yeah, I didn't end up playing, but trust me, I was itching to get out there.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about, you're getting closer to the draft. You're starting to get, phone calls. You're interviewing. You're talking to people. At what point in time did you go, holy cow, I think this might happen?
Yeah, I think that like last couple weeks of season is when I finally, kind of grasped it. It was, a bunch of my teammates came up to me and were like, dude, you might get drafted, dude. Like, we're gonna miss you. And I was like, hey, the season's not over. Like we
Yeah.
got a lot of work to do, but no, it was great to just get some recognition from the team. But yeah, I think that's when I kind of knew like, okay, this might be a possibility. And then once I went to
Yeah.
those workouts, I think it kind of solidified
Yeah.
my chances of getting drafted. I didn't know, obviously what round or what range or
Yeah.
anything, but
Yeah.
yeah, at that point I knew that, I was on a lot of teams' radar. So I
Well,
would
that's,
say like the
yeah.
first couple
Yeah.
weeks of
And
June.
I think, getting drafted is one thing, but being able to go, okay, I'm going to make enough money to leave school,
Hmm.
and go play professional baseball. Obviously nowadays everybody pretty much gets the rest of their education paid for by the MLB, right? Like you got that.
Yes.
But
Hmm.
you also had a number in mind, and anybody, if they want to know what your number was, they can look up what you signed for. So we're not gonna
Right.
go into that. But you had a number in mind, and I was it more important the number, the number, or what round you were drafted in? Because some people want to get drafted in the top 5 rounds, and they'll sign for a lot less than what a fifth round
Right.
draft choice will sign for. And then others will say, "Oh, draft me in the 20th round if you give me fifth round money." So,
Right.
like, what was more important to you, and what kind of, was it a combination, or was it, look, I just want to go where it's a fit for me and the money's right? Like, tell me about that
Right.
process, because it's a difficult process.
I think it was definitely the latter. I just wanted to go to an organization where, they really, view me highly, can see me playing in their big league club, in a couple years, and just had a real plan for me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
The rounds, is great. The money is great, but I felt like if a team really values you, then you're going to get the money that you deserve, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the whole process. I remember. My agent asked the same thing. A couple teams asked, like, "Hey, what matters more to you?" But I was like, "Hey, listen, like, I just want to go if you guys actually view me the way you've been saying you guys view me, and if the number matches, what they say, then I'm more than willing to sign. At the end of the day, I've been working towards this goal my whole
Yeah.
life,
It's your dream.
so yeah, don't get me wrong, like, they have to pay me a
Yeah.
good amount
Yeah.
because I had an opportunity to go back to play at Stanford for another year.
Yeah.
But yeah, the biggest thing for me was fit and how the organization view me as a player
Yeah.
and as a person.
And that day was an amazing day, obviously, and it all happens. It's funny because it's like you're waiting for the draft, you're waiting for the draft, and the draft gets there, and all of a sudden, boom, you get drafted, and it's like,
Right,
oh wait, I got to go to Arizona in 3 days or two
right.
days, right? Like, I mean, I just got drafted, but 2 days ago I had no plans, and now every day is going
Yeah,
to be playing for me for the. So let's talk a little
right.
bit about, since you've gotten to Seattle, or sorry, Arizona. Since you've
Hmm.
gotten to Peoria, Arizona, which, you know, been to the Seattle Mariners organization, been to their side of their uh, of their spring training. I don't know how many times in my career as a coach, but talk to me about what a daily routine is. Are you still in a hotel right now?
I just moved into apartments
You
literally
just,
a couple
yeah,
days
there
ago.
you go. Yeah. So you're right. You're in an apartment, and you wake up in the morning. Obviously, you eat and take care of things. But tell me what a day kind of looks like for you right now. And then obviously, at some point, you guys start playing games, and you'll be out on the field in the afternoon playing games. And when
Hmm.
does when do you think that kind of starts? And then just kind of talk about what a daily routine is. Um, for you right now, because obviously it's a little different than you've ever had.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like just talking to a bunch of my buddies that got drafted. I think we start the day pretty early. We start off, I'm at the facility in the complex at around like 7 a.m. And I get my daily cold tub shower in just to wake my body up, and then I get some really, really good breakfast from our kitchen. And yeah, and then we go right into stretch. We have an arm care throwing program, do some base running. Depends on what they have planned for us, whether it's just NDD or cuts and relays or just like team D, whatever it may be. We do some sort of defense, and then we jump straight into cage work. We do a bunch of machines like mini
Yeah.
hacks, big hacks. The trajects have been really sick. And
Yeah.
then we do. It depends. We don't lift every day, obviously, but if we do have a lift, we'll have a lift, and then we'll go hit BP, which is what
Yeah.
we did today, or we'll just
Okay.
have BP. Yeah, so
Awesome.
that's kind of the day, and then afterwards, get my lunch in, get recovery in, do the contrast training in the cold tubs and the hot tubs, and whatever recovery tool I get. Honestly,
And do they have the mental training stuff too? Do they have any of that? Do they
yeah.
have classroom stuff?
Yeah, we've been so that was the first week. The first week we had a draft camp, a mini draft camp, and we did a bunch of, mental skills training, like talks. We had a bunch
Yeah.
of like hitting talks, defense talks, base running talks, just like everything, trying to be, align with, the Mariners organization and make sure that,
Yeah.
we're being taught their philosophy and, their lingo and their language. So that was what the first week was like. But now we're, transitioning to the Bridge League. So I actually, play my first game tomorrow. So
Really?
yeah, so that'll be
Yeah,
exciting. But yeah,
that's
we're
awesome.
we're e we're easing into it right now. It's nothing crazy, but
Yeah.
everything's intentional.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, I appreciate all that. Now let's talk a little bit about, you and advice that you could give to younger players. So, what do you think the biggest mistake is younger players make?
I think it's putting too much stake in the results. Honestly, I've learned a lot
Something you
these
did.
past, which I did, yeah, and
Yeah, something you did.
it's very tough when you're younger to grasp that because you're playing backyard baseball, you're playing wiffle ball, results kind of matter in that sense, right? And then you
Yeah,
get to the
yeah.
baseball field and it's like it's not the same, but you wish that you can hit the homers, hit the doubles, not strike out, right? But that's all part of the game. I would
Right.
definitely say embrace the struggle, embrace the challenges because I really enjoy coming out of a struggle. Don't get me wrong, I love it when I'm playing really well, but I love it
Yeah.
when I'm, struggling and then I'm able to figure out how to get out of it. But I think the biggest thing is don't put too much stake in the outcomes and the results. Just enjoy the process and like how what it takes for you to, get out of that, funk. And then I would say also just like have an unwavering confidence in yourself, like belief. That you got to believe that you're the best player on the field, no matter the situation. And if you believe that and you carry yourself that way and um you just like kind of feel like you have a presence behind what you're doing, I think that will take you a long way because at the end of the day, your confidence comes from preparation, belief, your support group. So if you have confidence in yourself, I've seen a lot of people thrive just through confidence.
Oh yeah. All right. If you were 14 years old today, what would you want to focus on the most as a 14-year-old today, knowing what you know now?
I guess, like I said, the mental game a little bit. Don't
Okay.
get me wrong, like you know, refining your swing, making sure your footwork is nice on defense, making sure you're, bigger and faster. That's also a huge thing. But I think the biggest thing is mental because once you're able to hammer the mental skills down, I feel like you're going to put in the work in all three of those categories besides the mental one. So once that comes to like once you finally grasp that, I think everything will show. Like,
Yeah.
obviously the weight room is the biggest thing, right? It's
Yeah.
also the
Oh
biggest
yeah.
thing. You need to be because now like with the transfer portal and I know the eligibility issues are like changing, but
Yeah.
you're as a high schooler that's 17, 18, maybe 19, you're really just going up against like 22, 23, 24 year olds, right? So
Yeah.
you got to be physically like ready to go tackle whether it's pro ball or college ball. But I think mental game and the weight room is the biggest thing for sure.
All right, that's awesome. That'll help a lot of young guys that I talk to. I say the same things. I think the actual physical baseball game at 14 years
Hmm.
old is not as important as starting to get that weight room, starting to understand how your body works,
Hmm.
um, getting stronger, eating right, those kind of things, and then the mental side. The mental side, what you've said, I say to kids all the time, and I believe 100% what you said is correct. So, all right, we're gonna have a little fun here. I'm gonna
All right,
ask you
let's do it.
rapid fire questions. You're gonna just top of your head. Let's get them to me.
All right,
Favorite one answer. Favorite MLB player.
Lindor,
Okay. Favorite baseball movie.
the Sandlot.
Favorite pregame meal.
I guess just chicken and rice, or actually no,
All
Jimmy
right.
John's sandwich.
Jimmy John sandwich. There we go. Jimmy John's will be calling you. That's how you do it. That's how you get an endorsement. Hardest pitcher you ever faced.
Trader Savage.
Okay. Favorite stadium you've ever played in.
Uh, Florida, University of Florida.
University of Florida. Beautiful. That's pretty new stadium. Best
Yeah,
teammate you ever had.
damn, that's a hard one. I would say Pat Wade from Columbia.
Okay. Your walk up song.
This past season it was Booty Work by T-Pain.
Okay.
But I love
What's your
Latin
favorite
music.
walk up? What's your favorite walk up song you ever had?
I guess it's booty work.
There you go. All right. Favorite hobby outside of baseball? Do you even have any?
No, I was just about to say the lifting. I guess going to the beach, getting that cold water.
Little Southern California
Honestly,
guy.
yeah, everything's centered around baseball, to be honest.
Yeah, I believe it. All right. Coffee or energy drink?
Energy drink for sure.
What energy drink do you normally have?
Either a C4, Ghost, or a Rain. Kind
Okay.
of all of them, I guess.
Dream vacation.
I really want to go to Greece,
Okay. That's awesome.
Greece or Italy.
One player that's in the major leagues right now that you would love to face.
Scuba, Derek Scuba.
That's awesome. All right. Now, we're kind of finishing up here. What does the success look like for Eric Jeon 5 years from now?
I'm really just, I'm hoping I could fly through the minor league systems, obviously. You know, you know, the biggest thing for me is, gain memorable like memories, make the most of
Okay.
it, give it my all. I think you don't measure success through results. I think that's a byproduct, right? I
Yeah.
think I gotta, make sure, I'm doing everything the best I can with intention, through discipline and everything. And I just want to get 1% better every day. I want to, after each season, when I step back and just like look from afar, I want to be able to say, yeah, like, I gave my all. I improved on things that maybe they were weaknesses the season before. And I just want to help the team win. So if I'm
I,
winning
I,
a
lo-
championship,
I love that. You know what you haven't said yet, which I love?
what's up?
I'm in the big leagues. I think that happens on its own. The rest of
Right,
it
for
is
sure.
all. The rest of it, it's all how you get there, and that's what I love, man. I just love this, and so, man, dude, I got to tell you, it's been awesome. We've known each other a long time. It's been awesome talking to you. The opportunity that you have in front of you, I know you're not going to squabble it away, but let's talk one last thing. If you could say something to your parents right now, and I know how you feel about your parents, but they're going to watch this. If you could
Right.
say something to them, and I've met both of them, and I love both of them. I think they're both amazing people. What would it be? And then we'll close with just um, you got a little brother. We'll just talk a little bit about him for just a split second before we get out of here, because I want to give him his props too. But talk about what
Yeah.
you'd say to your parents.
Yeah, I would just say, words can't, really put, I can't put anything into words, but, a huge thank you because, you did it at the end of the day. You got one of your sons to play pro ball now. The sacrifices that they put in, whether it's flying or driving the 6 to 8 hours to Arizona, or, like a funny story. My mom was throwing me BP in the front yards with the small wiffle balls, and it wasn't firm enough, so I told her to come closer, and she said, "If you hit me, I'm gonna be very pissed." And, I said, "I have really good back control. It'll be fine." And 8 pitches go by, and she threw me an inside pitch. I go inside out, hit her smack in the forehead. She sprints in the house. She's pissed off, but I grabbed her an ice pack, and she's like, "You're all good. Like, it's part of the game." But seriously, whether it's driving us, my mom's throws me BP, by the way.
Yeah,
Whether it's her throwing me BP or my dad throwing me BP when he has the chance, when he doesn't work,
yeah,
just throwing grounders in front of our house on the street, just so we can emulate something. And yeah, you guys did a great job. I'm super proud of you guys, and I'm super blessed that you guys are my parents. And I wouldn't be here without you, obviously, but I love you guys, and I just thank you for allowing me and my brother to pursue our dreams of playing professional baseball, and
yeah.
literally investing in us financially,
A lot of
mentally,
money.
emotionally,
Yeah,
time, everything. I just yeah, investing in us, and you know, we're very different from a lot of other families. They really allow us and give us the freedom to chase whatever we want. And um, yeah, I just appreciate everything you guys have done for me. And
Awesome.
it's
That's
yeah, it's been a
awesome,
blessing.
dude. And again, they couldn't have raised a finer young man. Talk about before we head out of here. Talk about your brother for a second, because he's in the grind right now. He's playing
Mhm.
college baseball. Talk about where he is and just about what kind of baseball player he is.
Yeah, that's my best friend. He's currently at UC Berkeley, Cal, my rival school at Stanford. But yeah, he was a freshman this past season. He's going to his sophomore year. He started his first 8 games in college baseball, and then something unfortunate happened. You know, he hit a homer, and then on his home run celebration, he came down after celebrating and buckled his knee and tore his ACL. But he's currently
Oh,
rehabbing, going through that process right now, going through some adversity, right? Like you
yeah,
said.
yeah,
And he's been handling it really well. And before I got here, I was taking him to PT and everything, but you know, he's just as hungry. You know, now that he's seen me,
yeah,
get drafted, you know, that's definitely at his, forefront of his mind. So he's gonna do whatever it takes to get there. And obviously, I'm gonna help him. You know, I'm gonna be on the side, and so are my parents. But yeah, like he's a great baseball player. I think he's offensively, I think he has more upside, I would say. He's got a
yeah,
lot of power. He's 6 feet tall, 215, big hefty guy. You know, I really got to earn every pound I get.
yeah,
But yeah, he's 6 foot 215, outfielder and corner infielder. Can really hit, has a feel for the barrel, and he's got a lot of power. He's just a super strong kid. So I'm looking forward to a full season of college baseball. You know, we got a little glimpse of it this past
yeah,
spring, but I think this is gonna help him a lot and grow as a baseball player. And yeah, I think he has a chance to get drafted as well. So I'm hoping, if he, puts his head down and works, really hard and uses his support
yeah.
system and trust in the Lord and the process and everything, that I think he'll find himself in an even better position than I was, this past summer. So we'll see. But
Awesome.
I'll be doing my
Well,
best to help him out.
yeah, you will. You'll be able to give him all the roadmap to being successful, because you're going to fail, you're going to succeed, you're going to learn what's right, what to do right. You're going to learn from your mistakes, and you just keep growing in the game. But Eric, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on, and how much I care about you and love you. And to be honest, how proud I am that I had an opportunity to be just a little tiny speck in your process and in your career. And I'm telling you, man, I'm rooting for you every day, and keep after it. Keep God first, keep
Yep.
family, and then baseball. And I think you'll do really, really good things. So thanks for being on the show. I'm sure I'll
Appreciate
have you
you.
back on. I'm sure I'll have you back on again down the road and talk about all your success and what you're doing. And I'm looking forward to coming out to Arizona and watching you play. So that's Eric Jeon, ladies and gentlemen, on the Scott Horman podcast.
Thank you for having me, Scott.